from the campus of Westfield State University. This is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield. WSKB's programming is generously underwritten by Whip City Fiber. Westfield Gas and Electric wants to help you decide where they offer gigabit speed Whip City Fiber Internet next. Turn your neighborhood into a fiberhood. Get on the list today at www.whipcityfiber.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
It's Tuesday morning, and it is March 6, 2018, and my friends are being bad already. They're berating me.
Have you heard that before, Jay?
Oh my God! Wow, it's Tuesday. Yes, I'm berated.
The calm before the snowmageddon.
Oh my gosh!
I understand that.
Oh my God! Yeah.
I have to admit that this morning I got to the door and the door was closed. You know, we cheat the door lock by putting a trash can in the door. So Pete beat me into the studio, and I walk in and the door's closed, which usually means, oh, he forgot to put the trash can in the door and leave it open for me. So I'm standing on the other side of the window of the studio, looking very forlorn,
like a lost puppy dog,
and waiting for Pete to notice me. And
oh God,
he doesn't. And now I'm feeling like no one cares. It's morning.
Oh.
Even after I do, I don't move.
Yeah. Oh, there
I
he
go like
is.
this. I look at him and I smile and I go, and he goes.
What does that mean? You wait a minute. You
I pointed towards the door.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, the door. That's how you get.
And then I went like this. I went, turn the handle.
Oh, and
unlock.
Oh,
Bob had no problem with this. He turned the handle and he walked right in.
Well, I never even thought about it. You know, I don't really think about most things that I do until afterward. Yeah, really. All right, so let's figure out who the lunatics here are in the studio this morning. My name is Bob Plass, chief of them, and my trusty, dusty, lusty, musty, and crusty sidekick, JPEG Luca, is here, and then the March Merrymaker of Madness.
Thank you.
That is, yes, yeah.
I do too.
Yes.
It fits in with the whole NCAA theme of the month.
Oh, yeah. Well.
March Madness.
Oh, March Madness. Oh, of course. I didn't, of course.
I know that wasn't what he was thinking
really.
of, but I'll take it.
Yeah, really. That's Peter Coles, the kitten of the keys. Yes. And it is March Madness. When does that madness all begin, incidentally? I don't know
any
of
days. The Westfield State College girls played their game against one of the top-ranked schools in the country and did not succeed, although did pretty well. They like the number...
No. Well, yeah.
I mean, they're playing the number 6
ranked. You can fail and still do well. Now that I think about it,
Jay, they played the number 6 ranked team in the country in Division III. So in their own building, because they were hosting the regionals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they.
That a ne'er-do-well like I is okay.
Yes, it's all the way you look at when you make a mistake or you fail drastically.
When I fail.
Yeah, right. And so therein is something. I mean, like, isn't that wonderful to be able to say, when I fail dramatically. Yeah. So, you know, that's something good in one way.
I fail with a flair.
You fail with a flip. That's very good. That's
If you're going to do it,
yeah. What's the biggest mistake you? No, I don't want to ask that. I'm not going to ask that. No.
Well, when you walked in the studio this morning,
Yeah.
the first thing you say
Yeah.
to all of us
Yeah.
is there really intelligence
In the world.
in the world?
Oh yeah.
Well, in this world,
Yeah.
probably not so much.
I'm beginning to sound like a 75-year-old man, and I'm only 73. You know, I'm not even 73 yet.
Bob,
I've got to stop.
Have you ever seen the movie Grumpy Old Men?
Yeah.
Watch it again.
Okay.
And that way,
I beg your pardon. I'm not going to watch another old movie.
and that way, you will find out what not to do.
Oh, I
I
hear.
said this on the air before.
Yeah.
Grumpy Old Man was funny when it came out.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a grumpy old man,
It's-
it's hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious. Okay. Well, yeah. Again, I don't understand if you're serving someone 3 large coffees,
Yes.
hot coffees, that you have to ask the question, would you like a tray? They don't ask, would you like a bag? Or something to carry it in, but
Well, you
3
never
large
know.
coffees are
If
kind
you're-
of hard to maneuver.
if your
you know where
cohorts-
I was.
If
and-
your cohorts are out in the car, right? You could probably make it to the car with 3 coffees and then distribute them
but
properly.
I'm at the window.
oh, you're
I'm
at
in the
window.
car,
Oh,
and there
yes.
is no one in the car.
So did they ask you at the window or at the?
No, at the window.
Okay, so maybe they don't know if there's other people in the car. Maybe they're not paying attention.
I got them in my pocket. I'm traveling with little dwarves.
What I'm saying is maybe they're not paying attention, Bob.
Maybe they're not.
In the passengers.
I don't know.
Right? Yes.
So I said something snippy, and then I felt badly about it.
Oh,
and
Robert.
I know. And then I stopped, and I said, kindness is a virtue. And so I said, really, I do have my books here. I'm on my way to school. I've got second grade to get to, and
You
I've
said
got,
that.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
They
And
have little monitors in there, and they have a camera, and they see your little car come around the corner. And here he comes.
oh my gosh, yeah, and these are all new faces. Well, there's one old face.
Yeah, the
there.
wrestling bell. You hear it in the background as he pulls around the corner.
Yeah, no. This girl, this wonderful woman who is waiting on me, who is told to ask the question after every order, apparently, regardless of whether I had 16 coffees or not. Would you like?
So is this East Main Street?
Where is it? No.
Which one do you go
No. I'm not going to tell where because people will be driving through to complain about me to the to.
No. I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say we should just. I'm serious. We should do a remote there.
Wait a minute, ring the bell.
Oh yeah. We should do a remote there.
Does
Yeah.
that bring you back to your childhood?
Wait a minute, I got to hear it. I put it on. Yeah.
What's that from? If you go back to when you were 10 years old,
I got it.
What's that remind you?
Yeah. Gillette boxing on Friday nights.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No, honest to God. 10 o'clock on Friday night.
To do with the fight game.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ding, ding. What's that from?
Ding, recess. No.
No.
School's over?
No, going to the gas station. Remember they used to have the little hose by the gas pumps, and you'd drive over the hose, it would go ding, ding. and
Oh my God.
Wash your window, put gas in your car, check your oil.
I did that at the
that's
Sunoco
right.
station at Allen Cooley.
When I was about 10 years old, I discovered what made that thing go ding, ding, ding.
Oh, you found the tube.
Right. I used
So-
to drive the guys in the gas station nuts.
By stomping on it as a kid.
Oh my God.
Ding ding.
Hey, that's
did that too.
It was a rite of passage.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then once I did it, because my dad worked, his business was also in the gas station. They put me to work and said, "You're not going to jump on that. We're going to put you to work."
Yeah, because now your job is, when you hear the bell, you go pump gas.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I did. I was pumping gas at like 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah, I think that was everybody's first job. Pump gas or deliver papers.
Papers.
Paper
Yeah.
had at the gas station at the end of the
Yeah,
street.
yeah. You know, in my paper, I actually delivered the shopping news. It was called the shopping news then, which was the precursor to the penny saving. My extent of delivering newspapers was actually sitting beside my father, because it was my route. But my father he drove, and we delivered paper. We delivered the shopping news that way for a very short time until my father caught on. You know, I said to the kids, you know, why don't you earn some money? And then it wasn't worth my father's time, I guess, to drive from.
Turned 70.
Yeah. Oh, no. But I, you know, I wanted to say that there are not. This is the one thing we have for all those who are listening in Wisconsin. Hello, and points beyond. We have one, I think, gas station in Westfield, where people can drive up and be serve service. Do you know? DeGray's. DeGray's has people come out, and it is such a treat. I would rather go there than anywhere else in a way.
I've gone there fairly often to buy gas.
I feel guilty sitting there in the car with the guy pumping gas, except
Yeah.
when it's cold out.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, in New Jersey, that's a law. You cannot pump your own gas anywhere in New Jersey. Anywhere.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the only thing I like about the auto industry in New Jersey, the roads of New Jersey. You know how would I feel about that?
It doesn't matter
In the
where.
car, somebody will steal it.
I actually think there's a union down there for the guys that pump gas.
Really?
Yes, you cannot pump your own gas in the state of New Jersey.
Am I right that that's the only station around here?
You would be correct. Yeah, I don't believe
Yeah.
there's any others that do full service anymore.
Yeah, it's one of those lost things that lost service that really. Where are all those kids who need summer jobs going? Like you said, everybody used to pump gas.
Yeah, that's it. In my neighborhood, I delivered papers, worked the gas station, and
You could have worked tobacco if you wanted to. For those people in Wisconsin and beyond.
buck
Yeah.
and a half an hour working tobacco.
Yeah. Did you ever do that, Peter?
What, tobacco?
Work tobacco, as we say?
No, my uncle, when I was real young, my uncle he worked for a liquor distributor. So when the bottle bill passed, he went around and went to all the stores when they had the 10 case bags and stuff.
Right, sure.
So he'd bring all the empties back. So he'd do that after his overnight shift loading the trucks. And he would hire myself and my brother over the summer because we were young enough. I think we got paid a penny a case.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, he had sides on the side of his pickup truck that were 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
And then he ended up buying one of the old trucks. And he made a good living out of it. He would get
Really?
20 some cents a case, and we'd get a penny. But at 12, 13 years old, 20, $30 a week is good money.
Well, it's sort of like picking tobacco leaves. Then
Yeah.
you were
Manual
rummaging.
labor.
You were rummaging through.
No. We went to the package stores. They would
But
get
then-
all the returns in. They would package them. We would pick up.
Oh, they would package them.
Yeah, because you remember
you
those
weren't,
bins?
You weren't going through
No.
somebody's garbage to try to find.
No.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
So we go to like Town and Country Liquors over now. What's it called now? Over in West Springfield. The
Table and Vine.
Table and Vine. I haven't been there in so long. I forget what it's
Oh,
called.
it's great.
So we'd go over there, and the products that Liberty Liquors distributed,
Yeah.
we'd pick up their beer products, and there'd be 100, 200 cases every other week. We went there.
Uh-huh.
So we do all those rounds all the
Sure.
time.
Sure. Is he still doing this?
No. My uncle.
What would be the title of that kind of work? Collator?
No,
What, it was collector?
It would be
Bottle collector?
I would think it would be a middleman to bring it back to the distributor.
So he was working for a distributor.
Yeah, Liberty Liquors. His full-time job at full-time jobs. He loaded the trucks
Yes.
with liquor and
Right.
beer to go to the package stores.
I get it.
After he got out of that job, he'd go and pick up the empties and bring them back. Because
This is good.
each distributor was responsible for collecting.
And
the,
who was his middleman? It was all of our drinking buddies.
Yes.
Everybody who
Your
drank was
consumption.
we were the consumers.
consumers? Yes.
The consumers of the drink were the people that kept your uncle alive here. Yes. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Hey, so everybody, it's March, and it's March Madness. And you mentioned the snow again tomorrow. Can you tell us anything about it? It's going to start in the day.
It's going to start tomorrow sometime before 7 o'clock.
In the morning.
Yes.
And it's...
Then,
yeah.
Then it's going to snow all day and all night into Friday.
Wait a minute. Tomorrow's Wednesday. So it's going to snow Wednesday and Thursday and Friday?
I've seen the forecast saying it's going to end Thursday morning.
Right.
But then I've seen a weather app for our good friend Kellen out here,
Right.
our maintainer,
Right.
that says it might light snow right through till Friday. But they're saying 10 to 15. The National Weather Service is saying 10 to 15 for us.
Right.
They're saying 15 to 20 for the Berkshire Hills and Northern Hampshire County.
Wow.
22 is saying 6 to 10 for us and 10 to 15 for the hills.
Wow. So we're losing the battle.
So Mark Auerbach will not be here on Thursday, but he'll be here by phone.
Oh, I gotcha.
That means I got to find a way to get in here on Thursday.
So Mark is taking over for Patrick Barry on the Westfield News Show. Is that correct? Yeah, just for a short while Patrick is off on holiday, in a sense. Well,
I saw him on Sunday.
Yes,
he came to the lip sync battle. And he looked like he was comfortable. I mean, he's not happy because he's got a shoulder in a sling and all that.
Oh, so explain to everyone what we're talking about. Patrick had
he had rotator cuff surgery, I believe.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So he.
Well, no, he's happy about this.
Oh, okay.
Because
now that's a case of being happy about a failure. The failure of the rotator cuff, and he's happy.
It's because he said one day he went to pet the dog and his shoulder popped out. So I mean he's suffering from this.
Oh, God help us.
To make it clear, the dog was a very big dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Still. No, he said he injured it a couple of years ago, and then progressively getting worse.
I see you.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, look, I love Kenny Rankin. I really love to listen to him. He's got this pop jazz sound to him. He died several years ago, much too soon. He was a fixture on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. He wrote lots of great music. He's a great guitar player, and I just love this version of Haven't We Met, which I think Kenny wrote. Kenny Rankin, Haven't We Met. And for those who are watching us on Vimeo,
Channel 50. Now we're YouTube.
Now we're on YouTube?
Yes, Vimeo kicked us out.
So, okay. So
we were bad.
Oh, okay. So we're on YouTube, and can you hear the music on YouTube?
I'm not some of it you can, yes.
Okay, so you may or may not be...
I'm only scrubbing the music that gets blocked worldwide.
Remember this, Kenny Rankin, Haven't You Met, if Haven't We Met, Google it and listen to it if you are not able, and use this time to wisely go brush your teeth. All right, here, Haven't We Met, Kenny Rankin.
Some rain for tomorrow. The sky will be sunny but wet, and out of nowhere you're suddenly there, and I say, yeah, pardon me, haven't we met? I've ordered some sunshine with showers, and I've got my scenery set right there with a thump. Our umbrella's gonna bump, and I say, yeah, pardon me, haven't we met? Accidents can happen, and into one I'm gonna slide. There's a good chance to get my hands on a little romance when two hearts collide. And I know that's just
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore at Westfield State University, right here in the Ely Campus Center. Whether you're a student, faculty member, or friend of the university, it's the place to shop. Everything from Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise to all of your academic needs. Offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Visit the bookstore on campus or online at www.westfieldstate.bncollege.com. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com. With the Xfinity Double Play and Xfinity Triple Play, you can choose to bundle Comcast services for a great value. Experience Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Explore all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area on the web at Xfinity.com. Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Wally Computer Associates, one of the largest technology providers in North America. Headquartered in Southwick, Wally provides all of the products and services that you'd expect from a world-class technology partner to schools, colleges, businesses, as well as state and local governments and agencies. Wally Computer Associates, meeting all of your technology needs. On the web at WCA.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Wow, it is Tuesday morning, March 6, 2018, and critic extraordinaire Mark Auerbach. You got up early, came all the way from your pool in Longmeadow.
The pool, they put the lounge chairs away because I think we're going to have a major snowstorm tomorrow. You know?
So you have to bring your own chair to the pool?
No,
Well,
they have help there. That they're sitting there waiting for the weather to change, and they have people. And every time the weather looks like it's going to be good, these people just take the chairs out, put them in, and then they hear the weather, and then they pull them back.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, most of my neighborhood is about to be in mourning because they've learned that the Hukilau is closing.
Oh my God, no!
And
this is like a heart.
Are they closing or remodeling?
They're closing, and they're going to, according to
I think
the
they're going to tear
reports,
down the building.
They're going to morph it into something else that the Yee brothers who own it are planning on, and they're really great restaurateurs. I worked 2 performances of the big broadcast in South Hadley over the weekend, and they own Johnny's and the Ian
Johnny's
Noodle
Tavern,
Shop and a couple of other things at Village Commons, and they are great restaurateurs.
And Johnny Yee's, it's the same Johnny Yee from Cape Cod. There used to be a Johnny Yee's restaurant.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I
I'm
think
not
all the
sure.
restaurants are on here.
Yeah, I mean, they started the Hukilau and the one in Springfield, and then there was one, in Chicopee, and there was one in Longmeadow, which closed a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's close. See, that's the one I was thinking you were saying was closing.
No,
that closed a long
Chicopee
time
one,
ago.
The flagship Hukilau that had the Polynesian
the plastic
dancers
flowers.
and the lobster nights.
Oh, yeah.
The lobster nights, they were so
The buffet,
incredible.
that was awesome.
Yeah. In order to get into the restaurant, you had to walk over, like, whether there was flowing water somewhere in that
There's
place.
flowing lobby in the lobby, yeah.
Yes.
But so you're saying then that the Hukilau in Chicopee is closing?
According to Mass Live, it is.
So,
I believe everything that Mass Live.
oh my God, that's
maybe about 96%.
yeah.
Okay,
So,
this is 96% correct. And yeah, I saw it on television.
you have any idea what the words Hukilau mean? After all these years, we should learn.
With alcohol, I'm sure.
No, I wonder what it means actually.
Well, why don't
You have an
Hawaiian.
awesome little, device.
Why don't you Google it for us while Jay and I can talk about the impending storm
Yeah.
or Peter's weekend. Yeah.
What are you doing to prepare for it? Out are the men already shoveling your driveway? They're out.
Yeah, the shovels and the rock salt are in place. After I get off the air this morning and I go visit my Westfield News boss, then I am going to go to the Longmeadow Big Y, and I'm going to buy my rock salt, my bread, my milk, rent a video. You know how you do for snow day.
Videos?
No.
No.
Right. I thought maybe you had a unique store that I wasn't aware of.
No, I mean they sell videos there. They have like a bin of videos in
The
there.
discount rack.
Yeah.
Okay. The ones nobody else wants.
I'm wondering here. Okay, I found the thing. We are in the design phase. We're working with the city of Chicopee. We're planning something very unique. It will be a great addition to the Memorial Drive business
Yeah, so
community.
in the same footprint, they're going to do something new, but the building is 53 years old, and I don't know how the construction of the building was. Plus, I don't know if you've been in there lately. It's kind of very, very dated, and I think they
Dated. It was dated. Has it changed since I was a teenager?
probably not. So
Once electricity got invented, Bob, they didn't have to use the torches for the lunch buffet.
I was there when the Queen Kalikimaka, what is the name? There was that Queen Leilani came to town to christen it.
what the heck?
The Hawaiian, the
A
great.
Polynesian princess?
No, she was a Polynesian princess, but she was more than she was the Queen of Hawaii. Like, wasn't there a Queen of Hawaii at one point?
I don't know.
I think the year started with a 1-8.
I
But
don't
at
know.
any rate,
I love the idea that they're going to build something exciting again. Cause
They're not going to let the
it's safe.
location go. That's a prime location. They just want to do something new.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
and they should do something new. I mean,
Johnny's Tavern in South Hadley is awesome. I've been in there. It's beautiful in there.
I went there for dinner between the shows of big broadcast on Saturday, and I took one of the guys that works with me who's a teenager and with a huge appetite, and I said, just order for us. What are we going to have? So we ended up with this gigantic chicken barbecue pizza and an order of poutine, and
This is at the Hookie Lounge?
No, Johnny's
Tavern.
Oh, I see.
The place was packed.
Yeah.
The place was packed.
Yep, that's a hot spot.
In the islands.
No, I'm not a great fan of poutine.
I happen to like it. I must have some Quebecois blood in me or something like that. But like from being from
Quebecois.
Quebec.
Yeah, that means like a Montrealer is a Quebecois if you're from Quebec. That's a French word.
Yeah.
Quebecois.
No, I get it.
I think poutine is one of the best comfort foods in the world.
It is.
And you feel, you can't eat a lot of it because...
Well, your stomach immediately responds and goes, no, don't put that in here.
But me and 18-year-old polished off, and we split a order of poutine, and then Ben ordered this...
Tell everybody what a poutine
is. French fried. It doesn't sound good, but boy, is it good.
It's tasty.
It is a layer of French fried potatoes.
Yes,
okay,
right.
Covered in gravy.
Yeah.
With cheese curds.
Right.
It's
awesome.
Starts with the poo in the name. It just
Yeah.
it's just long.
Yeah.
You know who made a pretty good poutine is the Irish Cultural Center. They don't call it that, but that's what it is.
Oh, really?
Rick
Really?
Barry and I had it over there, and it was
It's
excellent.
it's probably anything.
It would depend on the gravy. If the gravy
the gravy was really good meat gravy. And Ben and I polished that off, and then
Potatoes.
and then
what did you have after the poutine?
we had a chicken barbecue pizza.
Actually, that sounds good.
Who knew? And
Did
I
you
just
sleep through the performance? What after?
No, because I was-
What the?
And their burgers are incredible.
I'm
over
on
there,
my
too.
feet for 2 hours during a performance, so and just like burning off the energy. So it was a great dinner, and I let Ben pick. Said order what you want, and we'll split it. And he had good taste in high energy comfort food because that's for sure what pizza and poutine.
When you
is.
think of comfort food immediately, what is your first? It's not poutine for me. What's comfort food?
Meatloaf.
Oh my God! I forgot you mentioned meat. Meatloaf is good. I was thinking macaroni and cheese.
That's
Well,
the other
mac
one.
and
yeah.
cheese
Mac
works
and
for me,
cheese.
and
Yeah,
so does for my New York years, cheese blintzes. are
Oh,
my
yeah, okay, yeah.
But yeah, but you had to be in a certain neighborhood in order
You
to
can
get
buy
that.
them. You can buy them in Big Y in the kosher food section, frozen.
I
But they
see.
have cherry blintzes, blueberry blintzes, cheese blintzes, and that for me is comfort food.
Do you know what the difference between a blintz and a bagel and olive? Do you know what a blintz is?
What's a blintz?
It's a crepe, and it's filled with cheese, and
It's a French crepe, only it's.
There's a place in West Springfield. It's the Crepe House.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what they
Never
do.
been there. They got stuffed crepes to die for.
It's excellent.
My daughter turned me on to this.
Yeah.
It's just like, holy cow.
They used to have the trailer next to Mina's Wine and Spirits for a couple of seasons.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
They,
wish they'd
they
come
opened
back.
it. It's called Crepes Tea Room, and
That's the place.
it's
Yeah.
really good.
And they have all the teas and stuff. And my daughter loves all of these, earthy, crunchy thingy things. And, we get in there, and they've got this crepe, and you can stuff it with fruit and this and that. And by the time I was done, I had a plate and a half of food in front of me, but I didn't know what I was ordering.
Well, there was
See,
a
when I
ch-
was a kid, I used to go to Charlie's Diner right down the street.
Oh, I remember Charlie's Diner.
Still there.
Oh my God! I think I dated a girl, Betty Brusso, from there once.
Oh, really?
Oh, twice, maybe 3 times. Yeah.
We used to ride our bikes down there. My dad had his business on the other end of Union
Yeah.
Street.
Nothing like a diner for. I mean, like that's if you see a diner, immediately your mind goes to what comfort food am I going to eat? You're not going into a diner to chow down on a lobster, although you could. And Miss Florence, you probably
Depends on what diner. If you're going to the main diner, that's one of their
It's
specialties.
funny, but there's also places like Memos in West Springfield where you go and get
yeah.
a home-style breakfast with
yeah.
the best home fries in the world. And there's one in Connecticut just past the malls, and I just can't remember the Country Buffet or the Country
Yeah.
Old Country Diner, and it's on Hazard Avenue, going
okay,
towards
yep.
Summers as you go past the malls. That does the same thing. You go there for breakfast, and you get the eggs, and you get the sausage or the bacon and the home fries and stuff. And there's nothing like a down-home breakfast as comfort food.
When I'm on
Yeah,
the road,
sure.
I love to find a diner to have
Yeah.
breakfast.
Well, that's true. No, a diner even for like let me go in for lunch for soup. And
I don't want to be
yeah.
stereotypical, but the Greek diners are the best.
They are. There's a Greek diner. There was, when I was in school in New Haven, there was a Greek diner in Orange. It was called the Orange Seafood Diner. And the menu probably had 30 pages of what you could order. It was dirt cheap. And we used to go down there for shrimp casseroles that were like $4 or $5, and you could order burgers, you could order pizza, you could order the Greek casserole, the moussaka, and everything under the sun. And it was like Sunday night. We always went to the Orange Seafood Diner.
Oh, the diner.
And then
you
the
know,
best-
that was my first job as a waiter, was in a diner. I went to the White Coach Grill, which was right next to Hooters. It's now the site of what's the name of that Mexican place on the border? It's down in that area there, and it was the White Coach Grill. And I went in and I said to the woman, "You're advertising for a waitress. I'd love to be here. I'm not a waitress. I'm a waiter." And she accepted me. And I think I eventually got fired. That's where I met Betty Brusso from Charlie's Diner. And but at any rate, she, I think, eventually let me go or something. I couldn't remember what her name was. That was the problem. There was the Guttentags were the owners, and I used to call her Mrs. Gutenberg instead of Mrs. Guttentag, and that was the out and out problem. So at any rate, we are at 6:37 in the morning. Everybody, now during the music, you can go through and you can look for a time. Go through while you're listening to this. But everybody else, I'm going through Bob Dylan's life, and he came to a point in his life where he wrote this great. He had this great album, No Mercy, and he followed with another album called Under the Red Sky, which really kind of like bombed. And it turned out that he had a child. He was married secretly, and he was having a child. And so this was the album that had sort of like fairy tale songs for his kids on it, including a song called Wiggle, 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 which I'm not going to play. But can you imagine? No.
He teases, right?
Yeah, we're not going to play that one. I'm going to play Handy Dandy from Under the Red Sky. It got poor reviews when it came out, but actually now it's looked back at it kind of a classic. You know Under the Red Sky at all, Marco?
I do.
Yeah. There's a song called Under the Red Sky that he wrote, but this is Handy Dandy, Bob Dylan.
Handy dandy, controversy surrounds him. He's been around the world and back again. Something in the moonlight still hounds him. Handy dandy, just like sugar and candy.
from the campus of Westfield State University.
Serving Westfield for over 50 years. Specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. Visit betsplumbing.com or 14 Coleman Avenue, Westfield. Public welcome.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Commercial Distributing Company of Westfield. Now in its third generation of family ownership, Commercial is one of the premier beverage distributors of Western Massachusetts. The Plasek family and the staff of Commercial Distributing wishes you good times throughout the year and urges you to drink responsibly.
Underwriting for community broadcasting on WSKB is provided by the Press Room, a community coffee and snack cafe right in the heart of Westfield's Gaslight District. The news of the day always includes a steaming cup of coffee or tea, donuts, bagels, pastry, and other delectable treats at the Press Room. Open weekdays 7 to 5, Saturdays and Sundays 7 to noon. The Press Room, 62 School Street, Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Thursday morning from 6 till 8, it's Patrick Berry, owner of the Westfield News Group,
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Wow, it's Tuesday morning, March 6, 2018. Mark Auerbach, critic extraordinaire, is here. Jay Pagluka, the trusty sidekick of Bob Plass, the Lunatic Fringe here. And in front of me...
The Lunatic Fringe? That would be me.
No, is that you, the Lunatic Fringe?
Yes.
Oh, okay. James always calls us the Lunatic Fringe. I don't know. Do you think of me as fringe?
I always knew
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes.
And Peter Coles, the kitten of the keys, and March Madness merrymaker over there is behind the board. And
If you're going to start calling me the Lunatic Fringe, I have my own theme for that.
oh, you do? Let's hear the Lunatic Fringe.
It's actually the name of the tune is Lunatic Fringe.
Is it? It sounded like me after eating at the Hookie Lau. You know, all right.
Let's not go there.
All right. At any rate,
There was a song in the late 70s, early 80s called Lunatic Fringe. That
Yes.
But it was by Red Ryder.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's the wrestling intro, Lunatic Fringe.
oh, is that right?
You know that.
Okay. Hey, so Hookie Lau means something like fishing. A hookie lau is a way of fishing invented by the ancient Hawaiians. The word comes from hookie, meaning pull, and lau, meaning leaves. Pull leaves. A large number of people, usually family and friends, would work together in casting the net from the leaves, from the shores, and then pulling it back. So when you want to pull something, you can give it a little hookie. And yeah.
No.
Really?
Hookie lau. Whoever knew that it meant fishing in the ancient
And I gotta say, now that I know that, it really has not changed my life in any way.
Isn't it something that as you get older, do you have that's not on your bucket list to know the meaning of the word hookie?
It was when I was young. It was not on my bucket list. I mean, it's not something I ever needed to know. If I wanted it, Polynesian food, or I mean, when we were kids, we thought it was Chinese food.
Sure.
We went to the hookie lau.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah, but we never ever thought, what does this mean? The word hookie lau. I mean, but I did.
It means lunch.
All right.
I happen to like Japanese food a lot, and there are lots of Japanese restaurants all over the place called Ichiban. And
I've seen this.
They're not connected. They're not a chain or anything like that. But Ichiban means number one. In Japanese, it has nothing to do with the food or anything like that. It's just like this is the number one restaurant. And that made sense to me. But I never needed to know that. It was, I would go in.
It just meant good Japanese food.
In my mind, it meant good sushi. That's it.
Yeah. The one restaurant that really bothers me this a lot. The name of it. Oh, yeah, I know it. It's a chain. It's called Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And it doesn't make sense grammatically. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And the reason why is Chris Steakhouse was the name of the original, and that was her son, and apparently, sadly, he died. And so she took it over, so it became Ruth's, apostrophe S, Chris Steakhouse.
You just don't like it because it's hard to say.
It is hard to say.
Did you find out? I just read the article on how they named the place.
No, tell us.
Andy Yee's father, Johnny, saw it on his honeymoon, and it just stuck with him. Saw it on a sign on a shack.
I got it. Oh,
on his honeymoon.
Jeez, we've spent an hour talking about the Hukilau. Do you think they could send us a poo-poo platter or something?
We can ask.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll give you a poo-poo platter after they close.
Yeah, you might be able to get one of the dishes, yeah.
Yeah, you'll have this huge platter that you can serve.
Oh my God.
Do you want me to try to secure you a scorpion bowl?
Yeah.
Can we buy some of those things?
I don't know. When the Hukilau in Longmeadow closed,
Yeah.
I guess they sold off stuff, and also the last week that they were open, everyone knew they were closing on a certain
Buy
date.
mementos?
And people were kind of like, there were scorpion bowls all over town and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Sure. Yeah.
I used to go there after concerts in Longmeadow. We did.
You think about the
Yeah.
Hukilau and all the people that have celebrated something there. Birthdays, anniversaries. Those are the things. That's why I'm gonna abscond the scorpion bowl.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah.
I'll offer to buy one from them.
Yeah. I once. Did you ever steal anything from a restaurant? Ever? I mean, I know I'm a crook, and I've told stories of my be stealing when I was young. But did you ever steal anything? What did you take?
I never did. I took matches.
Oh, matches
Were something, you know. And
yeah,
then
sure.
That was a marketing thing. You're supposed to take them.
Yeah.
I took
But when we were kids, there was an adult bookstore on the Longmeadow Enfield line.
It still is there, not
Bookends,
that. Yeah, yes.
And they had matches. They had a bowl of matches at the entrance, and it was not only for Bookends, but it was for someplace else. And my mother,
Church of the Atonement.
my mother was always looking for matches, so we'd go to Bookends and walk in the door and sneak 20 books of matches and throw them in her pocketbooks. And so she'd go out with her friends and she'd reach for a match and it said Bookends on it, right?
Oh my God, help me!
She thought it was really funny, but the looks of some of her friends. Somebody said, "Got a match?"
I never knew.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes.
I thought it was a bookstore.
Yeah.
Like Johnson's,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's a Johnson of some sort.
Yeah, really. Speaking of that, we can play. Why don't we play the Johnson Boys at 6:52 in the morning? Yeah. Johnson Boys is a actually I don't know. Have you listened to the replacement for Prairie Home Companion on Saturday nights?
No. I have mixed feelings about
on
Prairie Home
public
Companion.
public radio.
Yeah, I mean, I worked for public radio. I produced a live broadcast of Prairie Home Companion at the Fine Arts Center. I produced a couple of one-man shows that Garrison Keillor did.
Yes.
And
your mixed feelings. Tell us
really
about it,
mixed
because
feeling.
I have some as well.
The whole thing of him being accused of sexual harassment and all of his properties yanked away from public radio without him really having a chance to defend himself
Sure.
bothers me.
Yeah.
I know from my experiences working with him and for him that he was a perfectionist and a difficult man. But I
Yes.
never saw any kind of that behavior like that. So
Yeah.
I just when they took away Prairie Home Companion and they renamed it and all of that, I just have kind of lost interest in that program.
Well, I thought I did too as well, because there was he picked Garrison Keillor picked Chris Theo Theo to be the replacement, and he was he's a musician. He was in a group. Oh God, I wish I could name the group, but anyway, Google it and you'll find out. But it was Prairie Home Companion, and he was still doing Powder Mill Biscuits and all of those little things that they used to do on Prairie Home. And now it is called Live from Here with Chris Theo. and it is more music oriented, but it also he's developing his own personality and stuff. I really kind of like the show, and they've got some great musical guests on, and I'm thinking that it is a more with it show than Garrison.
Well,
You know.
the thing about A Prairie Home Companion is that it was radio theater, similar. I just finished 2 performances of the big broadcast in South Hadley from the golden age of radio,
Sure.
where you had music, or in the case of the big broadcast, swing music and big band sound of the 40s. You
Right.
had commercials of the day. You had a sketch or a skit. And Prairie Home Companion was really no different, although it was set kind of like in this home spot.
Oh my God, Middle
Minnesota-
America,
Right.
Middle
Yeah,
America,
exactly.
Minnesota, but it had the music. It had great sound effects over the years.
Oh yeah,
And,
he's still on. Fred Newman is still
Yeah.
on. I saw him the other night.
and it had like the little variety things like Guy Noir
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. And it harks back to an age of radio that's long gone. And
Yep,
it's the
exactly.
only radio variety program really left on the airwaves, unless there's a country
Yeah, like
version.
regularly scheduled one. I
Yeah.
mean, Grand Ole Opry's still sort of that.
Yeah, but
that's
but
it.
not in the same way that
That's it.
that Garrison. He talked about Lake Wobegon, and everybody could relate. It was a story.
well,
and everything,
he was recreating Middle America, and he was recreating a world in Minnesota that people could relate to.
Sure.
Grand Ole Opry does it, but it's a southern version, and
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
something. If you like country music, you'd listen to Grand Ole Opry,
Yeah.
and really enjoy something like that. But when you look at what's on the radio spectrum these days
Yeah.
of community radio as well as the networks, it's either news, sports in most cases,
Right.
or music with
Right.
maybe a bridge where somebody talks about the musician or something like that.
Right.
And
Maybe.
public radio and community radio, in a case like community radio being what
Like us,
do,
like
what
us.
we do, is really the only venue where you can have unique forms of programming. And public radio certainly does it, where you have outstanding interview programs like Fresh Air with Terry Groves.
Oh, my gosh,
or the
yes.
quirky stuff like This American Life.
Right.
Oh, isn't that fun?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Ira Glass. And in community radio, you just look at the gamut of what we put on the air here at WSKB.
Oh, it's really
It
terrific.
doesn't fit a mold. Each show is completely different. And I'm learning that because although I was brought on board here to do an art show,
Right.
now I'm anchoring for the month of March. I'm producing and anchoring the Westfield News Show.
Yeah.
I'm bringing a little bit of the world that I know to the Westfield News audience.
No one
But-
does it better, Mark. Mark books. Mark is a booker. And I don't mean you're not a bookie, but you're a booker. You book great guests.
You know, we're going to call him Mark the Bookie from.
I mean,
Yeah. Bet
Maybe you will.
$200 in the third game.
At Pimlico.
Hi, Aaliyah.
At Pimlico.
But the thing that makes it interesting for me is I'm trying to bring a diverse array of guests to the Westfield News Show. And I'm opening up ideas for when Patrick Berry returns in April
Yeah.
of ways that he can make the show more unique and more
Sure.
more
More variety.
more
More
variety and
variety.
resonate more with our listeners.
Sure.
And hopefully our listeners, whether if they're tuning in to your show on Friday, Jay, or to Wow It's Tuesday or Arts Beat or any of the other programs we have, they're listening to more than one. You know, that
Yeah.
they're going,
Oh,
all
yes,
right,
sure.
I'm going to see what they've got on Monday. I'm going to see what they have on Tuesday. That's what makes community radio and
And
these
there's
variety.
and yeah, the variety. We're a variety format. I think we've got how many? We must have 12 or 13
More than that, because we have monthlies and stuff like that.
That's right. So we'll tune in. You got to tune in though to Live from Here at on public radio. It's 6 o'clock on Saturday nights. It's live from Minnesota with Chris Thiel, and it's the replacement for Garrison Keillor, who got wound up in the Me Too movement. Unfortunately, I got a great story about Evan. Evan DeBell told me that he had lunch or dinner with Garrison Keillor. He was looking forward to it because Garrison is such a gregarious and a great storyteller and everything. And he said, Bob, it was the strangest dinner. I kept expecting him to have conversation, and you really had to pull it from him. I mean, he was not a talker off camera or whatever, you know. Yeah. No, maybe.
No.
Did you find that?
He is very introspective and very quiet off stage.
Yeah.
And he not only did Prairie Home Companion, but he had another show called The Writer's Almanac.
Oh, I love that.
Which
is that still on?
No.
Oh, they took him totally off because of the.
That's the way they're doing things now, Bob. It's like you've been erased from history.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I was quite frankly
It's not right.
surprised that they did it so quickly because
It's not right.
he owns the rights to Prairie Home Companion
Prairie Home.
and Writer's Almanac. So in pulling him off the air, Minnesota Public Radio, which aired and produced and distributed that program, lost a big income stream. And I would think that if you're going to face that, you'd really investigate something. But 2 months ago, there was a rush to judgment on a lot of people.
It's been since last year.
Yeah, and people like Matt Lauer, people like Charlie Rose, who also came from the public broadcasting thing.
Right.
At NPR, Daniel Swerdling, the list goes on.
But they had
Spacey,
most of them had repeated, like the Harvey Weinstein syndrome. And I don't know about Garrison
Keillor admitted to it, though. He said it may not be right, but I'm going to own up to it. And then he walked away.
Okay.
He didn't want to fight it.
Sure. Well, we'll get back to all that because we'll talk Oscars just for a wee bit when we return with our critic extraordinaire, Mark Auerbach. So,
ratings down 20%?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 7:01 in the morning on WSKB. I'm going to play the Johnson Boys from the show Live from Here, and this features, let me get it right here. This is Brittany Haas on fiddle and Paul Cowart on the bass. And this is just two people, and it is, one of those bluegrass things I just love. A short 2-minute song. Let's hear the Johnson Boys. Speaking of Johnsons.
fiddle, Paul Cohen on the bass.
WSKB's programming is generously underwritten by Whip City Fiber. Westfield Gas and Electric wants to help you decide where they offer gigabit speed Whip City Fiber Internet next. Turn your neighborhood into a fiberhood. Get on the list today at www.whipcityfiber.com. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
He rules the roost on Thursday from 6 till 10. It's Patrick Berry.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Wow, it's Tuesday morning, the day before Snowmageddon, March 6, 2018.
Mother Nature's going to stick it to us.
Well, they always said that March came in like a lion.
Yeah.
And
March came in.
We thought
like
that was
a
the nor'easter
lion.
with a high wind.
And I guess 3 or 4 years ago, we had a huge snowstorm in March because I have photographs of the pool, with like.
It's all about the pool.
It's all about
It
the
is.
pool with
Yeah,
like 2 and 3 foot snow drifts and things like
Yeah,
that.
sure.
You think about it, our winter's been sort of mild on the snow side.
It has.
Yeah.
We haven't had a
We've
lot.
had snow melt.
But it's felt like it was an interminable winter. Why was that?
Because we kept getting teases of spring, that's why.
Yeah, and the other thing is,
Yeah.
when it's dark
Yeah,
out and you don't
yeah.
have a lot of daylight, you feel like it's the depths of winter. When I was driving out here this morning, the sun's coming up.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh, I know.
Sunrise is early. It's like before 6. And I
Yeah.
realized that we switched to daylight savings time this coming weekend.
Do you
and
believe
that'll-
that? March 11th, I think?
Yeah.
it is?
Sunday, and this means the sun will come up close to 7, which I'm getting up in the dark. I do every time we do radio, but
Yeah.
the idea of
Wait a minute. Are
5
we
I
gonna,
get up in the
is
dark
it
every
going to
day.
be dark when we get up in the morning?
but it'll
wait.
be light out when we finish work in the afternoon. I'll take that.
Would
Yeah,
you
I will
prefer
too.
that? Oh, yeah.
You know what one of my favorite times was back in the day. I worked third shift out and I'd be driving back from the Berkshires at 3 in the morning, and I could see light on the horizon because it was.
Oh, there's nothing better.
Summertime.
Yeah.
In the end of June, you
Yeah.
can really at 2 or 3 in the morning. You can see the light on the horizon because the sun's not that far below it.
Yeah, I always thought that, and vice versa. Yeah. Well, vice versa. When you're coming home over the pike at night in the fall and maybe in the summer as well, the sunsets that over the pike. I mean, I always thought that somebody ought to have sunset tours to be. You have a bus and you get drinks and you watch the sunset.
I notice that when I go up to the Berkshires to cover shows in the summer,
Yeah.
and like in June and July, we get up there well before the sun goes down. But in August, going towards September, the sun's going down 7:30, and the color of the sun hitting the trees, especially between Westfield and Lee,
Yeah.
is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, I'd head out to the Berkshires in the fall when the trees are just all lit up bright oranges and reds, and then the sun is as it's rising. Well, you'll see a dark shadowed hill, and then come up a little higher, and it just explodes in color. The next hill
Sure.
as the sun hits.
Yeah, I got to say that the color, the greenery of spring, like end of May, early June, when things are kind of this light spring green, and you see the sun hitting it, either when you're driving up 91 towards Vermont or you're driving on the Pike towards Albany, is absolutely beautiful.
It's there's a thing about that. It's like rebirth. I am so ready to be reborn in the spring. Oh my
This
gosh!
is why we
I am.
live in New England. We deal with all of the
Yeah.
lousy weather, and some of us like the lousy weather, because the change is here.
Yeah.
I can't imagine living in Florida and always being warm.
Well, Mark
It's
knows
either
about that.
Florida or a hurricane.
Did you live in Florida for a while?
I worked in Miami for 9 months, and it does get cool there.
Yeah.
Of course, native Floridians are bundled up as though the blizzard, and they're living in Nome, Alaska, and everything.
It's the end of the
But I found that because you didn't have heat, in your homes, you reversed your air conditioner. When it was 60 degrees and damp, it was cold. And I actually lived in Texas for 3 years working, and when
Really?
it snowed every so often in Houston, and a quarter inch of snow, the entire city was paralyzed, and all that. But when it was 20 degrees or 30 degrees in Texas, it was bone-chilling cold. And here, when it's 30 degrees outside,
God.
Sometimes I'll run out without a coat on to go to get something out of the car or something
of
like
course.
that. And I think,
26 degrees when I woke up. Two layers, I'm done.
Yeah. Although this old guy here is, I've got so many layers on. I mean, like, I don't want to tell you how many layers I've got on
Heard of
today.
this old house? It's this old guy.
Oh this old guy. Hey, Mark, let's talk a little showbiz here. Did you watch the Oscars by chance?
I did not.
No.
I was
What?
totally disinterested in it. I hadn't seen any of the nominated movies, and I thought, well, I could get the highlights of it on Facebook.
Oh, very
so
true. Very
I was
true.
doing other things, and friends would post, and all of a sudden video snippets would go up on YouTube. So I felt like I got to see the entire Oscars, or at least what I wanted to see, without commercial interruption, without a lot of the inane speeches, banters.
Oh, yeah.
But
You're not alone, because I heard the television ratings
were down.
Really down, and I wondered whether it was sort of a backlash against the Harvey Weinstein movement or whatever. Or
I think it's a backlash of the American people being spoken down to. They feel. I mean, honestly, I didn't. I watched like 5 minutes of it, and then I'm like, I'm gonna get preached to all night and spoken down to. And I don't like that. I'm like, I'm watching this for entertainment,
I think there's a big piece of
not to
it
preach.
That's just what Mark said. Is people watched it all those years ago they watched all 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 hours of this.
Yeah, right.
Because they were looking for the little snippet and waiting for that perfect little funny
something
thing.
special or
Saying
something.
on Facebook, I'll just wait. Why should I invest 4 hours of my life?
I hate to admit that I used to sit down in front of the television and watch the Tony Awards from beginning to end.
Oh yeah, me too. Of course.
And just glued to it. Now, I sort of watch it on Facebook because the news scrolls have, like, if you follow the New York Times, as soon as an award is announced, it's on the Times.
Sure.
So you can go and you can catch the numbers from the nominated shows online. And there are other things to do. I can't sit in front of the television for 3 hours.
Well, you know that we talked about it last week on the show here, that I have wasted about 3 weeks of my life watching all these award shows. I mean, you add it up, the 4 years over a lifetime. That's a ton of time. And if God or the higher power said to you, now the rest of you, you're going to watch a show overly long, boring, nothing but awards for 3 weeks of your life, no one would ever choose that. Yeah.
I mean, I would be more interested if, for example, from a professional level, if somebody that I knew or somebody that I was following were nominated for an award. And in the case of the Tony Awards, that happens. Or somebody local that I might have to report on the day after the awards.
Sure.
Then I would have more of an interest level.
Well, it would also... for somebody that likes to learn, I think the award ceremony, those shows could be a lot more informative. I remember a Tony, decades ago, a Tony Award show that had one number from shows that had won the Tony. I mean, they had the famous people doing the numbers.
I would have watched that, but I mean, to me, that's the exception. I only knew one person involved in the Oscars this year.
Oh, did you? Who was that?
Timothy Chalamet, whose mother and I were both at Connecticut Ballet back in the 70s. I don't know the kid at all.
Yeah. He's a kid that was nominated, and he was in Call Me By Your Name.
Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah.
He's done some very good screen work. He's all of like 21 years old.
Sure.
His mother was a ballet dancer who became a Broadway dancer and toured
Oh,
for a
really?
long time in a chorus line.
Oh, really?
She married a man from France. They had a son.
Uh-huh.
And I was interested to see if he would win.
Yeah.
But he was the only connection that I had to the Oscars. And it wasn't
Well, if
enough
you
to-
haven't seen the films, too.
I haven't seen- yeah.
Okay, so I saw 3 Billboards this weekend. It was written by Martin McDonough. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And with Frances McDormand, and Sam Rockwell won the award, and it won a Golden Globe as Best Picture, but it didn't win the Oscar. It was written and directed, and there was some other thing that he did, edited maybe, by Martin McDonough. The screenwriter was also a Broadway writer.
He's a Broadway writer. Yeah.
And I was trying to think, did he write The Beauty Queen of Lebanon?
I don't know his background,
yeah.
but I know that he's written for Broadway. One of the nominated songs, "This Is Me," that came from the Hugh Jackman.
Oh, that
Great
Fabulous Showman, yes, that music.
That is a great song.
Yes.
It was sung by Keala Settle.
Yeah,
who-
tell me about her.
She is an up-and-coming Broadway star. She's toured as a teenager. She played Tracy Turnblad in the national tour of Hairspray. Then
of
she
course.
opened on Broadway in a musical a couple of years ago called Hands on a Hard Body,
Oh,
which
of
was
course,
the
yes.
story of a group of Texans
That
competing
started
for a
at the Hartford or something, I think.
I'm not sure where it started, but
Yeah.
she was nominated for a Tony, and then she was in Les Mis, and she has an awfully powerful stage presence. Most recently, she was in the Broadway production of Waitress, which originated
yes, I
in
thought she looked
Cambridge.
familiar.
And it was nice to see her, and
Right.
somebody from Broadway,
Right.
making an Oscars appearance. And also the composer who wrote Coco,
Yes, of course.
Robert Lopez,
Right.
wrote Avenue Q.
Oh, he did write
and
Avenue Q.
Frozen, which is in previews right now on Broadway. So
Yeah.
there are some theater connections, but it wasn't enough to make me want to watch the show.
And I watched it. But 3, I would recommend 3 Billboards. It is very cinematic. It's episodic, but I love Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill in The Darkest Hour. I thought it was a much more enjoyable movie than 3 Billboards.
Somebody said this is the first time that two people have won to play the same character in television and movies in the same year.
Yes, because Winston Churchill is being played by John Lithgow, and he won an award
He
for
won.
playing.
He won an Emmy.
Yeah. He's a really interesting character, and the decision as to whether to go to World War II or World War I is the basis of Churchill, and
Right.
whether they're going to World War II, not what did I say? World War II or World War I? No.
World War I, he was part of the Admiralty.
Yeah.
Churchill.
But when World War II, he had to make a decision whether he was going
And
to.
he was fighting against his own war cabinet at the same time.
Oh my God!
Because they
But
wanted
what a
to.
charming performance
They
that
wanted
is.
to give in.
Yeah. See The Darkest Hour. I would recommend that. I would recommend. You'll be glad to talk about 3 Billboards. If you're not into violence, surprising violence, I would stay away from it. But that is Martin McDonough in Beauty Queen of Lebanon and Broadway. They had a scene where the audience gasped because they were so surprised that it happened. There is that same thing in this movie, 3 Billboards. So when we come back, we'll talk some show business stuff. And I'm going to. Harvey Schmidt died. Harvey Schmidt wrote the longest running show in theater history.
He
Am I
did.
right?
It was called The Fantastics, and it ran for like 40 years.
Oh, more than it ran for 40 years, and then it came back and it ran for 11 more years in another version. It was on Sullivan Street for 40 years, and then it moved to Broadway down below in like Worldwide Plaza or someplace for 11
But
years.
he wrote another show that is actually one of my favorite musicals, and it's called 110 in the Shade.
Oh, I love
And
that show.
It was based on a play called The Rainmaker about a con man who comes to a small town in a drought and cons them. And he tells them he can make it rain, and they give their money over and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets his comeuppance, and it was turned into a musical, and it was revived a couple of years ago.
I wish that I had seen that.
Audra McDonald,
yeah.
Will Swenson.
Yeah,
And, really, it's got beautiful music. And he also wrote a musical called I Do, I Do.
Yeah, two-character with Mary Martin and
Robert Preston.
Yeah.
Which was the story of a couple. They date, they get married, they fall apart, they come back together, and it's over
which
the course.
is the plot of Canoe the Musical, which will appear in at the Shortstop in May again this year. My musical. So at any rate, I stole it from I Do. At any rate.
We won't tell anybody that you did that. And he wrote another musical called Celebration, which didn't last very long, but the music has been covered by a lot of singers, which is the case of the Fantastics. The most famous song from the Fantastics is called Try to Remember, which we all know. It was originated by Jerry Orbach,
Isn't that amazing?
Became a Broadway star as a result of it, starred in Promises in Chicago, but he's best known as playing Lenny Briscoe on Law and Order for many, many years.
That's right. And
that's your song, isn't it?
It is. It is a wonderful song. I love this song. This is the song associated. It's the one will be played at my wake or funeral or whatever they call that. My memorial celebration. Try to Remember by Jerry Orbach.
Try to remember the kind of September when life was slow and oh, so mellow. Try to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow. Try to remember the kind of September when you were a tender and callow fellow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Try to remember when life was so tender that no one wept except the willow. Try to remember when life was so tender that dreams were kept beside your pillow. Try to remember when life was so tender that love was an ember about to billow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. December, it's nice to remember, although you know the snow will follow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember without a hurt. The heart is hollow. Deep in December, it's nice to remember the fire of September that made us mellow. Deep in December, our hearts should remember and follow. Follow, 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 follow.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Barnes & Noble College Bookstore at Westfield State University, right here in the Ely Campus Center. Whether you're a student, faculty member, or friend of the university, it's the place to shop. Everything from Westfield State t-shirts, sweatshirts, and gift merchandise to all of your academic needs. offering textbook materials in new, used, ebook, and rental formats. Visit the bookstore on campus or online at www.westfieldstate.bncollege.com.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut shops of Westfield and the Sardina family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646.
Wednesday mornings from 6 till 8, it's Tina Gorman with Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Wow, it's Tuesday morning, March 6th. We're here with Mark Auerbach, and we've got JPEG Luca, trusty sidekick, and the kitten of the keys, Peter Coles, and we're talking. Hey, I made another mistake, honest to God. This is when I kick myself, because that was not Jerry Orbach. Jerry Orbach's voice is much more lovely than
baritone, isn't it?
Yeah. He's a baritone. Yeah, but they're much more untrained kind of like a sound to it, which I think sometimes you need in a Broadway show. Don't you think that, Mark? That a trained voice sometimes can be a little bit much when you're trying to do as an actor. It could get in the way.
A couple of weeks ago, I had the sound designer from Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, down on Hartford Stage.
Darren West. And he explained how they put the sound together to make the actors sound natural. He said because most actors and singers can't sing over an orchestra anymore. They're not trained to do that the way opera singers are. And so you mic people and you mic the theater so that the sound is natural sounding. And I think that we are all used to hearing people who have been tracked and charcoaled and everything else with electronics that we don't know what a natural singer sounds like anymore.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Somebody once said to me, it was Paul Norton from Bay Path in my first musical, said to me, Bob, don't take a singing lesson ever. I like your voice just the way it is. But I did. I ended up taking my needed singing lessons, believe me.
He was being nice to you.
Oh, was he?
Don't take a singing lesson ever. Don't ever sing.
Don't ever sing again. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I ended up.
Smoke alarms are copying the sound of your voice.
oh my God! You know, it's funny when you. I always think that I like to think of myself an actor who sings. So you try to hit the notes and you try to smile and give the audience a good time, rather than try to make the sound as perfect as possible. And sometimes I cringe when I do that kind of stuff. But at any rate, you mentioned stage. No, you mentioned the Hartford Stage, Mark. And they're doing Murder on the Orient Express?
Hartford Stage has a production of Murder on the Orient Express, which most people know from the movies or reading it by Agatha Christie. It's been adapted for the stage by Ken Ludwig, who wrote the play Lend Me a Tenor and the musical Crazy for You.
Yes.
It is one of the best productions of any theater I've seen in a long time. It is so Broadway ready. Incredible sets, costumes, lighting, sound, and good performances all the way. It's running through March 25th, and I think that it's probably the one show in any area theater right now that you really need to go see.
Is that right? Well, okay, so let me ask you this. I know the solution to the mystery. I've always remembered that. When I saw the movie, I remember the reason, who did it, okay?
It won't make a difference.
It will not make a difference?
Because the way that they get there and the way that it's investigated and the train on stage moving from car to car, it is such a visual treat that you get wrapped up in it. And some of the performances, there are two people in particular. One is an actor named David P2, who has starred in a lot of New York stuff, and he plays Poirot, the inspector.
Hercule Poirot.
He is just wonderful. And then there's a New York actor and playwright called Charles Bush. And
my gosh, yes.
He has a muse, Julie Halston, who he writes for and stars in many of his plays. She plays the American actress in the show, and she is hysterically funny. Leanne Larkin, who was in Gypsy and A Little Night Music recently, she plays the Hungarian doctor. So
the characters are interesting.
The characters
the
themselves
performances, and so
it's wonderful.
And how it's put together, because it's a real surprise. I mean, it's one of Agatha Christie's best stories. I think.
Not only that, but when you see the train set roll onto Hartford stage, and not only do you see the dining car, but you see the individual compartments that these people are staying in, and then it turns around and you're in a train station in Istanbul, in a coffee shop at the train station. Then you're stuck in the woods somewhere outside in Yugoslavia during a snowstorm, and it's snowing on these rail cars. It's such a visual treat.
Oh, I got to see this. We have to see
it runs
that.
through March 25th.
Yeah.
It's a must.
Yeah.
And then the other big show, it's in previews now, is at Theater Works, and it's called The Legend of Georgia McBride. It's a play that's been circling the country in smaller theaters. It's the story of an Elvis impersonator who is fallen on hard times. His wife or girlfriend has become pregnant, and they're about to be evicted because he's not making any money. And he tries his luck as a drag queen, and he becomes an overnight drag sensation.
You're kidding me.
And named Georgia McBride.
Yeah.
Now, Jim Parsons, who stars on television in The Big Bang Theory, has optioned it for a movie in which he will play the legendary drag queen who teaches the Elvis impersonator how to do drag. It's a very comic play. It's written by Matthew Lopez, who actually has a play with Vanessa Redgrave that's about to premiere in London at the Young Vic, if it hasn't already, but very soon. And Matthew Lopez has written several plays. One which had its world premiere at Hartford Stage called Reverberations. So that's another one. And if you're not doing anything tonight,
tell me.
Cabaret, the famous Candor and Ebb musical, is doing a one-nighter at the Fine Arts Center in Amherst. And I'm thinking about Cabaret. I mean, it started out as a Broadway musical, and then Bob Fosse took it and rearranged it and almost rewrote it for a movie, which made Liza Minnelli famous.
Right.
Then the Roundabout Theater revamped it for Alan Cumming, and this is that version.
It's a dark
very
version.
dark. And when you think about our political climate today, I think Cabaret will have an undertone of real dark cynicism. When Cabaret opened in the mid-1960s, most people that were theater goers then remembered the Holocaust, remembered the rise of Nazi Germany because they lived through it. And whereas now that's like something way out of the past. But when you look at how the rise of fascism kind of subtly made its way through the party-going life of Berlin, it's kind of got some overtones to today where things are changing radically politically, and half the world is just partying away.
Oh, yeah. And you know that song, Life is a Cabaret, Life is a Cabaret, my friends, and song. Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that movie is really not the show. And they balderized that, as we say.
They did.
Really
they made in the original book by Christopher Isherwood, Sally Bowles was a third-rate British singer in a German nightclub who basically slept her way to getting a part in a show. She could barely sing. And on Broadway, it was played by the actress Jill Howarth.
Yeah, who really couldn't sing well.
She couldn't sing, but she was fantastic.
She was fantastic.
And then it was taken to London, and it starred Judi Dench in her only musical performance. Again, somebody who couldn't sing, playing a singer who couldn't sing. And then they Americanized the character for the movie with Liza, and then when it went back to being a stage show and it was rethought again, the character of Sally Bowles is really a very tragic
tragic character.
Now, that was set in what years?
In 1933 in Berlin, right as the Nazis were coming to power. And at the very beginning of the show, Berlin is a 24/7 city of hedonism and anything goes. And during the course of the show, things are starting to change. The Nazis are coming to power. Civil rights are being taken away from the gays, the Romas, the Jews, and life is becoming more and more difficult, and Hitler is rising.
Yeah.
And some of the people are oblivious and just party away. And the ones that realize what's really going on decide they need to leave Germany. Those were the smart ones. They got out.
Right. And so when Fosse does the movie, the focus is basically on Liza and Joel Grey. And there is an element in the movie of tragedy. And they changed they got rid of all the secondary characters that were on Broadway.
And they added new ones from the original book. But
sure. But it still didn't really... The impact was not... For instance, the song, I Come to the Cabaret, Life is a Cabaret. The reason why the reason why that song is so powerful on the stage, and should be powerful if you really think about it, is that she loses her boyfriend in this because she has had an abortion, believe it or not. And so she goes onto the stage and she has to perform. It's her only place to sort of live. Am I right, Mark? Sort of.
Her life was really awful, and she fell in love with a writer, and it wasn't working. Somebody had given her a fur coat, which she sells to pay for the abortion.
Yeah.
And
now you don't.
He walks out. He wants nothing to do with her. And he actually is leaving Germany because he sees what's happening. And she's a shattered woman, and she goes out there to sing her nightclub song, which is Cabaret.
Yeah.
And you just realize this is one tragic human being who's not going to make it.
And you know, it's not this. Oh, great! Let's all sing cabaret. The life is not a cabaret, although in today's world it is kind of like a cabaret. But did you know that?
It's interesting putting it all in context now. I never realized it was set back then. And of course, I'd only seen the movie.
Yeah.
So now hearing the story, now I want to go.
I mean, the movie showed similar things, and Bob Fosse was a really stylish director.
Oh, very good director.
And the characters that he brought into the movie that weren't in the show were interesting characters. He had Kander and Ebb write more music, and he took a lot of songs out.
Right.
So the movie was significantly different, and most people think of the musical Cabaret as what the movie is rather than the show, which was completely different.
It's worth to see the stage play because the stage play really is a moving experience. And
the stage play is so dark, and there's no way that you can sit through that show and not realize the parallels with what our world is going through right now. And it says, wake up, people. There's something happening here. And yet it is one of the most stunning pieces of musical theater ever. So I'm looking forward to seeing it tonight because in light of my own personal experiences and what we go through every day now in the last year or so, to see it with history repeats itself. And so I wonder if it's going to have an impact on me in a different way now than it did when I was a teenager and saw it. The first time I saw Cabaret was at the Stoughton Music Fair in West Springfield, and Leslie Uggams was Sally Bowles.
How do you like that? Wild.
This is at the Fine Arts Center at UMass tonight at 7:30.
Yeah. One of the songs that was thrown out was called "I Don't Care Very Much," and that and they put it back into this version. And the "I don't care very much," go or stay, I don't care either way. When in reality, that's what was happening. There's this apathetic tone to it. Yes.
There was also a song in the original version where at the nightclub there were telephones on every table, and people would call from one table to another to say, "Would you like to dance?" Or
it's sort
and
of like
chat,
the
sort
internet.
of like people sitting there with their phones texting away in a restaurant.
Yeah, remember the old dial tone in Enfield?
Oh, yes.
Or am I dating myself?
Oh, my God.
Or something like that.
Oh, God, yes. So I would suggest for all of you who haven't seen the show, you could watch the movie and enjoy it, but go to a live performance of Cabaret and see that. So, hey, let's play song 6. Not song 6, song 7, the Holly Cole. This is The Waters of March. It's my favorite Antonio Carlos Jobim song, Mark. And The Waters of March, this is one of the best versions of it. It's sung by Holly Cole, who's a great jazz artist. But listen to the lyrics of this. It's a Liszt song, and it takes place in Argentina where the mud goes down the hills. And it's beautiful. It's springtime, but it's the waters of March. We got the snow of March tomorrow. This is the waters of March.
Yeah, and
Holly Cole.
Preceding the mud season of late March.
Oh, yes, exactly. Here we go.
End of the road, it's the rest of a stump, it's a little alone, it's a sliver of glass, it is life, it's the sun, it is night, it is death, it's a gun. The foot, the ground, the flesh and the bone, the beat of the road, a slingshot stone, a fish, a flash, a silvery glow, a fight, a bet, the range of a bow, the wood of the wind, the steps in the hall, a scratch, a lump, it is nothing at all. A spear, a spike, a point, a nail, a drip, a drop, it's the end of the tale, a truckload of bricks in the soft morning light, the shot of a gun in the dead of the night, a mile, a must, a thrust, a bump, it's a girl, it's a rhyme, it's a cold, it's the mumps, the plan of the house, the body in bed, it's the car that got stuck, it's the mud, it's the mud. The bank talks of the waters of March. It's the promise of life. It's the joy in your heart. Afloat, adrift, a flight, a wing, a hawk, a quail. The promise of spring, the bed of the well, the end of the line. Dismay in your face. It's a loss, it's a find, a snake, a stick. It is John, it is Joe. It's a thorn in your hand and a cut in your toe. Well, the riverbank talks of the waters of March. It's the promise of life. It's the joy in your heart. A blink, a buzzard, a sudden stroke of night, a pin, a needle, a sting of pain, a snail, a riddle, a wasp, a sting, a stick, a stone, the end of the load, the rest of a stump, a lonesome road, and the riverbank talks of the waters of March. It's the end of despair, it's the joy in your heart.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Wednesday mornings start off right from 6 to 8 a.m. with Tina Gorman and Wake Up Wednesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Well, it's Tuesday morning. We've been having a great talk with Mark Auerbach, critic extraordinaire, March 6, 2018. Check the snow levels tomorrow. It starts sometime during the day and goes to Thursday. It's looking like, what, 6 to 12?
Looking like New England.
It's looking like,
when
yeah.
it gets to Friday,
Like when I did the Westfield News show last week, I was too, I had the guests on and I had to think, what am I going to do for the weather? So
Yeah.
I just told people there's a 100% chance of weather tomorrow, and I was not wrong in predicting that. So
I love it. I love it. Hey, Mark, this is a really interesting thing. We've got Carousel in the Me Too era. Okay, we've got Carousel going on Broadway in a new production, right? And
there's a new production opening.
And there's a new production of My Fair Lady.
That's correct.
Right. And
My Fair Lady has a local angle, and that's the fact that the Eliza Doolittle is Lauren Ambrose.
Yes, I know this
from
name.
6 Feet Under. Lauren Ambrose lives in the Berkshires.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, so people in South Berkshire County, people that hang out in Stockbridge or Great Barrington and stuff, she will look familiar because you probably saw her shopping at the supermarket.
Oh, how do you like that? Well, so My Fair Lady, that big show, and Carousel, which a lot of people think of as the quintessential musical, talking about dark musicals, Carousel is a dark musical. And there was a big article in the New York Times 30 section, this week or last week, about the idea that both of those shows, even Sweet Charity, have an element of that is sort of sour in a way. The idea of let's say in My Fair Lady, the plot of My Fair Lady. You know the plot of My Fair Lady, Peter? Have you?
No,
not at all.
I can honestly say no.
No. Okay.
walk
Well, yeah.
just like a regular lady.
There you are. Oh, my God. Look at I can't believe we got JPEG Luca talking Broadway. Mark, in a sentence or two, tell everybody what the plot of My Fair Lady
in
is.
My Fair Lady, a linguistics and dialect expert does a wager with a guy. They're standing in front of the Covent Garden Opera House. He says, I could turn, by teaching somebody to speak correctly, I could turn a gutter snipe into a princess.
A gutter snipe?
A gutter snipe. Look at
snipe,
that gutter.
which is a
Look at that.
low-end-
Look at that woman. She's a gutter snipe. I could turn
Eddie
her
Murphy.
into a princess.
Read Eddie Murphy in Trading Places.
Yeah.
So they find a flower girl who's selling posies in front of Covent Garden.
Right.
And they make the wager, and he teaches her how to speak correctly, walk correctly, the manners, and he passes her off at the Ascot races as royalty.
Right.
But he's mean to her. He's using her to win a wager, and in the end, she walks out on him. She realizes that she's being used, and he shows a bit of sentimentality, and he says, I could become accustomed to her face.
Yeah.
And she comes back to him, and he says, fetch me my slippers.
That's exactly
Which,
right.
in today's parlance, is kind of like you don't treat people like that. In the same way, Carousel, Julie Jordan, an innocent teenager working in a factory,
Right.
falls in love with a carnival barker, and he hits her. He beats her.
Oh, yeah, and she sings this song, What's the Use of Wondering If He's Good or Is He Bad? He's
she
your
goes
fella
back,
and you love him, and that's all there is
you're
to
in
that.
love, and you go back for more. This was a mentality that existed in the 40s and the 50s, and these shows are being revived, and they have to deal with, if you set it back in the period in which it was written, and you
Yes.
treat it in that way,
Right.
Are modern audiences going to be appalled and shocked? I mean, when you go and you look at a movie that has similar things that was filmed in the 40s or the 50s, and you look at it,
Right,
you go,
right.
that's shocking. But then you realize, wait a minute, that was morals and
Back in the day, that was normal.
back in the day, it was normal. Look how we've evolved and where we've evolved.
Do we change it? I mean, the directors of these shows, Carousel gets darker and darker every time it's
redone.
produced. It's a really dark show.
I think if you rewrite them and you really overly change them, you take away from the author's intent.
Yeah.
And I think that the authors in those times were trying to show shock. I mean, I don't think that the behavior of Billy Bigelow was acceptable, nor was the behavior of Henry Higgins and My Fair Lady acceptable. And I think at the time they were writing that, but it's just we see it in a different light today.
Yeah, I was thinking this week, speaking of the Fantastics, one of the songs in the Fantastics, Jay, is a song called It Depends on What You Pay. And El Gallo in the Fantastics says to these two fathers who want to bring their kids together, well, you got to have the kid save the girl, so you can buy a rape from me. And the song is, it depends on what you pay. You can get the rape fantastic. You can get the rape polite. And it goes on and on. It uses the word rape all throughout it. And I wondered, as I was reading that article, I thought of the Fantastics, and I thought, what do we do in this day and age? What do you do?
I think the Fantastics
well, let's explain what the word rape really means.
The word rape really means abduction. And
yes, yeah.
I mean,
kidnap.
Yeah. And in its context, it worked. But as times have changed and our morality has changed and our ethics have changed, then I believe that in productions of the Fantastics, that song was changed.
Did they change the lyrics so it's no longer the rape?
I believe they did. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it when of the shows we were going to talk about today, but it certainly was changed because it's done in high schools, and no high school drama teacher is going to stage a musical that has a rape in it.
Yeah. Incredible, isn't that? I was thinking about Eliza Doolittle and the women in Carousel are feisty women, right? In a way, and it's also
they're feisty. They're also uneducated. They are kind of like going through life with intuition. And in those days, in the 1800s, in a New England seaport where a carnival comes to town for one night,
right?
The morality level is pretty basic. When you think about it. I mean, even now, when a carnival comes to town and the people that come with it, the carnies and stuff, it's a different level of interaction. And most young women today, there's kind of the thrill of joining the circus or going off in the excitement of show business, but they'd think twice because their parents and their teachers have taught them that certain behavior is unacceptable, and you do not do that.
Sure.
But in the 1800s, these 14 and 15-year-old girls are working in factories they could barely read.
Oh my God, yeah. Do you know that they're making a musical? You know this. That Pretty Woman is being made into a musical with music by Bryan Adams. Do you know who Bryan Adams is? Who is he?
80s pop star from Canada.
Yeah. And so the question, again, that's a Cinderella story or a My Fair Lady story.
It's a takeoff of Pygmalion.
Yeah. Pygmalion, George Bernard Shaw, similar to My Fair Lady, making a prostitute into a...
Can't they come up with anything original? Honestly. It's a remake of everything.
Yeah.
It's too bad that Broadway
Tomb
often
Raider.
goes back to movies that were hit to bring their next material. But there have been a lot of original shows that have opened in the last couple of years, like Dear Evan Hansen or Hamilton. And I think that Broadway is looking to original material. But when I see shows like a revival or a musicalization of Frozen, which was a movie.
Oh, sure.
Or
We've got Mean Girls coming on. We've got Heather's coming on. We've got the wedding scene.
Anastasia.
Yeah.
And when they take the movie as a basis and they make it bigger and better. In the case of Anastasia, the stage musical is much better than the movie ever was. And you think, well, that was successful. But I still want to see more original things.
Sure.
So I'm glad when a Dear Evan Hansen or Come From Away.
Yeah. Or I'd like to see a new rethought version of Carousel, which is opening on Broadway.
It may be,
or
it
My
may
Fair
be
Lady
very
for that
different.
matter.
It may be very
For
different
all we
and
know.
really thought out. And My Fair Lady could have been revamped and revised. There's a lot of material written for both that was dropped along the way. And oddly enough, My Fair Lady had its world premiere at the Schubert in New Haven, and then did a tryout before it came to New York. They must have.
Yeah, and somebody was it you that was telling me that your mother went or your father, and they said it will never last, or
No.
somebody was telling me that they saw My Fair Lady in tryout and said, "Oh, that show was nice."
Well, always somebody that says that.
The backstage stories are that Rex Harrison was so nervous about singing that in the first couple of performances in New Haven, he was awful. And Julie Andrews, who was it was not a leading part, but like just a secondary part, that she really shone through. And the show, I guess, when it opened, was over 3 hours long, and it got trimmed down by the time it got to New York. And they both had more confidence in what they were doing, and it became a hit. But that's what happens during a tryout.
Mark, let me ask you, in all these remakes or all the movie translation to Broadway, is that something that has always happened? I mean, it seems to me, okay, it's safe, right? If I'm going to spend how many millions of dollars to put this on Broadway, I better do a good bet.
Well, it
has
depends.
Has it always been like that?
Broadway has gone to bestsellers for its and to plays.
Sure.
So 100 years ago, it would be a book to a play rather than a movie to a play.
Or a book to a play, or a play to a musical.
Right.
And that really hasn't changed. But going to the movies, when they take a movie and they open it up for the stage, in a case being Hairspray. Hairspray as a movie was a small movie, and when it got to Broadway was a big musical. Or there are others out there.
The Wedding Singer was like that, I think.
The Wedding Singer was a bomb. La Cage aux Faux,
a
charming little French comedy opened up into a big, brassy American musical. That's a really great thing.
Yeah.
But there have been shows that have rolled through the Bushnell, for example, on their way to Broadway, like a musicalization of Dirty Dancing or Flashdance, that really took the movie and just used the same script and the same music on stage, and they were pretty meh. The Bodyguard.
How was that, I wonder, The Bodyguard?
I was mixed on it. The woman, the lead, Deborah Cox, who played the Whitney Houston part, was out opening night because she lives in Parkland, Florida, and her family was involved in the park. So the understudy went on. The understudy knocked it out of the park.
Sure.
A woman named Jasmine Richardson, who could outsing Whitney Houston.
Wow.
So if you were going for a Whitney Houston tribute concert, The Bodyguard was fantastic.
Yes.
But the story, I mean, the movie wasn't that great other than the score. And the stage musical had no excitement other than what is the next Whitney Houston song she's going to sing. And that was worth it. I mean, it was entertaining, but it doesn't stand up as a great musical. And a lot of these revivals or new musical productions based upon movies just don't open them up for the stage. They don't offer anything more than a stage version of a movie. That's,
believe it or not, somebody said that was a criticism, I think. Dennis Aiken said to me that Kinky Boots on Broadway right now, it's, that was a movie that kind of came and went, and it's a classic movie. You see the movie, it's really great. But again, Harvey Fierstein wrote the book, and apparently it's a real ripoff of the movie.
It's a ripoff in a good way of the movie. I think Kinky Boots is one of the best shows that's been there. And it has the music of Cyndi Lauper, who wrote for the stage for the first time.
Yeah.
And I think Kinky Boots as a musical is fantastic, whereas the movie was kind of like a little bit
Yeah,
esoteric.
And
sure.
I love I love the sets, the staging. One of the things that, and I'm honestly only a recent musical Broadway guy that loves the stuff.
It's because he's been hanging around with
I'm
us.
hanging
That's
around
it.
with you guys.
Yeah.
But I always loved sound, always loved lighting. But seeing what they do with sets, the magic of how it transforms from one scene to
Stagecraft
another,
is
and
incredible.
Kinky Boots did that. That was one of the.
It doesn't have to be a musical. Murder on the Orient Express at Hartford Stage.
When you were describing that, I want to see
has scenic effects and costumes and lighting and sound effects that are mind-bogglingly good. And you think, it's a small theater. How do they do this? How do you get an entire train on the thing? Then I thought back, Anastasia, which moved to Broadway from Hartford Stage. One of the most compelling scenes in Anastasia is as they're leaving Russia and they're taking the train to Paris. And with the use of a rail car and projections as it's going down the tracks, you go, how did they do this?
Oh yeah. Well, there's a train in Hello Dolly. There's
This is completely different. I mean, Hello Dolly is a big cartoon from beginning to end.
So this is realistic.
In Anastasia, when that train arrives in Paris and they're crawling through the woods, and all of a sudden it's spring and the Eiffel Tower and the city of Paris comes up from nowhere, you go, oh my God, how did they do that?
Sure.
And the same thing with Murder on the Orient Express. They leave Istanbul, and the next thing you know, they're stranded in a blizzard in somewhere near Belgrade.
Yeah.
And it's snowing. And the train cars are moving.
Oh, my God, yes.
There's the sleeper cars, and there's the dining
God, I
car.
want to go to this thing. I got to go to. We got to get to Hartford.
I don't think.
Oh no, that's that's. Are you talking Murder on the Orient?
Murder on the Orient Express at
Yeah.
Hartford Stage is just so worth it.
I
people.
don't think the staging, the lighting gets the talk that it should. You know, it was a great show. Those are the things that happen, and no one notices unless they're fascinated by how it's done. Now it's just an expectation.
Yes.
I think go to the Hartford Stage's website, which is hartfordstage.org, and click on the show Murder on the Orient Express and just look at the photographs. The costuming by William Ivey Long is, and the hats. I mean, I've never seen anything like that before in a play. And the lighting and the sound effects. It's
you've
just,
sold us.
It's
You've
theater.
sold us.
It's what theater really needs to be. And when they, you hit the jackpot like that, it's really good.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the
that's a
magic. That's
great
the
way
magic.
to end our wonderful show today. Mark Auerbach, you're going back to Longmeadow right now.
I'm going to Big Y to shop for the storm.
Go get those candles. Get those candles. Hey, so everybody, the Academy Awards came on. This is the song that won the Oscar for Best Song this year. It's "Remember Me" by Miguel and Natalia Lafourcade. It's a weak song. This is me should have won that show. I mean, this is a really not a great song. But it's by the people who made Frozen. But I'm going to play it anyway since it won the Academy.
Anyway.
Yeah. Hey, everybody, get out there and volunteer. We'll see you next week. And Mark, thanks for being
And I'll
here.
see you all on Thursday morning, 6 to 8 on the Westfield News Show.
Oh, yeah. You've got, who you got on that
I
program?
got Todd Trebor from the Arts Extension Service to talk about some new arts initiatives that are going to happen in Westfield.
Sure.
I've got David Horgan, the author of a book about what happens when your parent moves in with you.
Holy mother! I'm getting a rash already.
And then I've got Elena Newport, who's the co-founder of the Capitol Steps, and she's going to talk about what is funny in today's political scene.
How terrific is
6
that?
to 8 Thursday on the Westfield News Show.
All righty, everybody. Here's "Remember Me" from Coco, the Disney cartoon, Pixar cartoon. See you later.
Though I have to say goodbye, remember me.